To get this started, anyone have a cold open idea?
I'm sorry, Nick. We got to cancel. I'm sorry. We got to cancel last minute. Something came up, so we're gonna have to delay this another couple months. So just let's go ahead and just fast forward to 4 months from now, okay?
Okay, it has been 4 months. Has anyone thought of a...
So I gotta cancel again, Nick. I'm sorry. It turns out Tony is crazy. He decided to book a pay-per-view where he doesn't share the card, doesn't share the location until 24 hours out. I'm actually recording this while I'm on the way to the airport. I'm driving to the airport now. I really gotta get there. I might not make it to bell time. So let's reconvene in about 6 weeks. It's not as long as before, but 6 weeks.
We're actually gonna record the episode this time. Tyler, Jake, you got anything before we start?
You hear that crack? That was Tyler's collarbone. I think we gotta take it out. We're not medically cleared.
You're like a twig. Like a twig.
Like
I
a
drink
twig.
no milk and it shows.
Hopefully you can get a better sound effect than that, Nick. I tried to tear a trading card and it's like wax, so I couldn't tear it. So then I got like a bunch of Post-its. I'm like, I mean, that's kind of what probably it sounded like when Tyler broke his collarbone. But
I'll let it in a crack for you.
Okay, thank you so much for putting the crack in. Actually, it's funny that you don't, and you just keep this part where I explain to people what the sound effect I tried to make. It's far funnier that way, I think.
I could tell you what it sounded like when I broke my collarbone. It sounded like me getting up and saying, I've got to get this bird scooter parked.
Oh, and by the way, I got to let Nick and Jake know we're not recording this Wednesday. So thanks.
Hello, and welcome to Season 5 of Timbo Pod. You know the world has gone to shit when your podcast about dead people is a welcome break from reality. We are back. I'm Nicolessa on the World Wide Web, joined by stand-up comedian, comic book convention performer, sworn enemy of the bird scooter, Tyler Wood.
That's me. You got all of them, Nick. Thank you.
We are, of course, joined by Northeast Wrestling Hall of Famer, AEW utility player, and viral wrestling clip person, the Man Scout Jake Batty.
Yeah, viral clip generator. Like, I got another one that's over 100,000 views already, and yet I still struggle to get booked. If only this was 2015, I'd be making a living and making female wrestlers feel uncomfortable. I mean, I'd be great. I'd be set up for life.
Now you just do the second part.
Don't worry, I make my wife uncomfortable, and she lets me know. We actually were at a doctor's office, and both of our defense mechanisms are humor. So the doctor thought we were the funniest couple on the planet because all we did was crack jokes because we're talking about a very serious surgery.
Oh, no. So this is one of those I wish we didn't have to do, but I'm excited to talk about the actual content of it. When this guy was on the screen, for me anyways, I was always locked the fuck in, phone down, watching, listening, because you knew you were going to get something weird, new, different, good. Today we're discussing one of the great performance artists of any genre, someone who took what pro wrestling was, especially the WWE's flavor of it, and turned it on its head. He was the Eater of Worlds, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Before we get into it, tell the folks kind of your experience, first impression of Bray. You can go back to Husky, but top of your head, thoughts on Bray Wyatt.
First exposure I had to Husky Harris was NXT, and he didn't really stick out, and they went over that a little bit in his documentary, just how he floundered a little bit in NXT, and I was really surprised to hear that was just a year after starting wrestling. You given the full context of everything, like, hey man, not bad for a year in, but to see how his character developed over the next few years is really amazing to see where he was able to grow to and then be stunted by Vince McMahon and Undertaker's inability to see star power. But it's a hell of a ride. the Bray Wyatt story.
Yeah, I'm aware that Husky Harris was a thing, and I watched it, but I'm not surprised that he was only a year in. And also, too, he was kind of in the mix of, hey, this guy is the son of so-and-so. Let's give him a job and try and work it all out. And as I think I have said on this podcast before, I was trying to be an aspiring pro wrestler and seeing everybody's kid get a job and then just basically learn on the job when I'm trying to learn and better myself. You know, you look at that as resentment, but then all of a sudden you run into a situation where Colby Carino's coming around and you're extra nice to him because Steve was good to you. And then you realize, oh, this is why some of these guys are getting a shot and I'm not. It's because people who worked with them are trying to give them an opportunity. And Bray Wyatt got an opportunity much in that same way. And he could have left and done whatever or had his cup of coffee in WWE and went out. But no, he decided to take the art form to a completely different level and become one of my favorite acts of all time. And unfortunately, we'll get into probably the moment where it could have been the coolest thing ever, but WWE did the WWE thing that is done time and time and time again. And it wasn't only until like the last 2 years they actually did the right thing. But don't worry, they've course corrected since then. But no, it'd be interesting discussion today. There's gonna be a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. Already that was a weird intro as it is, but those are just kind of general thoughts. But definitely Bray Wyatt at the peak of it all, to me, is a very big what if they did this. And when we get to that point, boy, is that going to be a fun conversation.
Windham Lawrence Rotunda was born in Brooksville, Florida, May 23rd, 1987. Windham, obviously from a deep-rooted wrestling family, a third-generation wrestler, raised in the shadows of legends like his grandfather, Robert, a.k.a. Blackjack Mulligan. Why isn't there a White Jack Mulligan? Okay, Windham's dad, Mike Rotunda, who was, of course, Irwin R. Shyster, IRS, VK Wall Street, if you nasty. Wyndham's uncles, Barry and Kendall Windham, and his younger brother, Taylor, would go on to be known as Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy.
Barry Windham is your uncle. That in itself is pretty cool. I mean, if you're a kid growing up in the 90s and your dad's IRS, you'd be like, ugh, gross, I don't like my dad. Well, he was born in 87, so actually, like, for him to be old enough to see his dad wrestling, he would have been seeing his dad as VK Wall Street during the Monday Night Wars. So, I mean, if you're like, oh, that's dad doing wrestling, you might be a little disappointed. But looking back, your dad was pretty cool and pretty integral to 80s wrestling. Like IRS, that was always the character that my parents had something to say whenever he popped up on the screen. So that's kind of funny. And of course, Blackjack Mulligan, a guy who just got into a fight with Andre the Giant because he wanted to see how it would go. That was his grandfather. Most grandfathers, they just have a case of old style light and drink bacon grease and, live to be 95. But old Blackjack Mulligan was fighting Andre the Giant. Not less crazy than most grandparents, but crazy in a different way.
Windham also has a sister named Micah who became a real estate agent, and quite possibly the only thing more of an illusion than pro wrestling is being able to afford a house in this economy. We'll be right back with Sigourney Weaver. $10 Pod, we'll be right back. All right, I'm sorry.
Why'd you pick Sigourney Weaver?
I don't know. It sounded like the most talk show host guest. I just pulled it out of the air.
Sigourney Weaver? What do you Jeff Foxworthy doing a bits about how hot Sigourney Weaver is in 1992? Like, is this the You Might Be a Redneck album? Oh, baby, you see how hot Sigourney Weaver is? Look it up. It's weird. That's the person he picked.
If you think Sigourney Weaver has to do with knitting, you might be a redneck.
You could sell that one to Jeff for a few grand, I think. Windham attended Hernando High School, a school that pumped out a just ton of pro football and baseball players, and also George Lowe, who was the voice actor for Space Ghost. Windham excelled in sports and even won a state championship in fake wrestling at 275 and 2005, the year he graduated. But, standing 6'3", usually hanging out about 260, 280. He was built for playing defensive tackle and offensive guard. That's football, Tyler.
He had a dump truck of a butt on him. Like, he definitely... I'm surprised he didn't do something. I mean, I know he would go on to play football in college and stuff like that, but man, he must have had bad feet or something like that, because he had all the proportions of an offensive lineman, or D tackle for sure.
I listened to his interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they talked about his football stuff a little bit. He felt like he was too small to make it long term in football. He felt like he was giving up a few inches and, good 20, 30, 40 pounds to some folks. So he was like, I'm not going to pursue this any further after college,
which is frightening because he is a big man, and he goes, I'm small compared to them, which I have not stood next to enough NFL football players to get kind of a gauge of how big they are. Like, I see him and I go, oh, Bryce Young, he's tiny, he looks small out there, and then I look at his stats and we're roughly the same size. And I'm not particularly a small guy, but like, if someone my size looks like a child out there amongst these guys with pads on, terrifying.
I get that a lot in basketball. Spencer would be like, oh, look at that little point guard. And I'm like, he's like 4 inches taller than I am.
Jalen Brunson, small guy, 6'4" or 6'2". I don't. He might not be 6'4", but I think he's like 6'2" or something like that. And you're like, Jalen Brunson?
Windham, good enough to make the leap to college, but, not quite a by God blue chipper. He took the JUMCO route, attending the College of the Sequoias, where he was a second-team All-American, which earned him a scholarship to D1 Troy University, where he'd finish out playing his football career.
And they beat their hated rivals, the Cicadas University. Cicadas. It would have been a lot better if I would have tightened that up a little bit. But I thought of the joke, forgot the name of the insect, and then when it came time to say it, I had too much of a beat. It would have been much funnier if I just...
Aren't sequoias a tree?
Yeah, sequoias.
I got you.
Yeah. Much like cicadas, they get stuck on there with like their shells and stuff like that, so that's their natural enemy.
Got you. Let's take it again from the top.
What I gathered from the Bray doc, he kind of just lost his spot in the depth chart, which, D1 college football is impossibly competitive. Realizing he wasn't going to go pro, Windham left school just 27 credit hours short of earning his bachelor's in broadcast journalism. Jake, is dropping out of college to pursue pro wrestling something you'd recommend to the youth out there?
That's actually when I first got started. I quit school, dropped out of college where I was majoring in broadcast journalism. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm gonna call him Bray throughout this thing. I know Windham would talk. I'm gonna call him Bray for it. So he came to me as Bray. I'm calling him Bray, as Les Thatcher would say. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Bray got into broadcast journalism thinking he was going to film movies and then realizing, oh, it's reading a teleprompter, it's moving a studio cam. When do we kind of like start filming other things? And they're like, oh, no. Like, that's film. Yeah, but you have a camera. Can't we go film something cool? No, you got to go make this news package that's going to be 90 seconds long. Oh, well, this kind of fucking blows. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how he stumbled into it. I don't think he was thinking about being a broadcast journalist, because who the fuck does? But yes, that's what I did when I dropped out of school, because my parents weren't going to be able to support me, so I decided to get a job, and I was making my own money, and I decided to become a pro wrestler.
So Windham officially began his pro wrestling journey roughly 08, 09-ish when he signed with WWE's developmental system. So straight there, actually catching up to his younger brother, Taylor, a.k.a. Bo Dallas, who was already there at just 18 years old.
It was interesting in the documentary, too, to hear his mom be like, he didn't get any special treatment. He didn't get any silver spoons. And it's like, all right, he had enough that he backed it up. But to say that he didn't have a good foot in the door is a little ridiculous. He gassed him up. Like, the dude did extremely well, but like, it helps to have that last name.
Windham is not immediately Bray Wyatt here. It was a long process of ups and downs, which I think is a good lesson. If you let wrestlers just figure it the fuck out instead of man them to death their first TV match, you may just end up with a fucking Bray Wyatt. A bleach blonde hair, Windham came to work for FCW, and Florida Championship Wrestling is kind of the rough draft of what is now NXT. It wasn't this big shiny polished production company. It was like more like a high functioning indie ran by Steve Keirn and Dusty Rhodes.
High functioning indie?
I mean,
run by Dusty run by Dusty Rhodes. You mean Dusty just showed up and tell everybody how awesome he was and told them to cut a promo and said they weren't as good as him. No, don't get me wrong. He did probably give people advice that was helpful, but at the same time too, Steve Keirn was doing a shit ton of work to keep us going. So let's give that man the flowers and not just throw in Dusty Rhodes.
Windham's first match was a dark match February 5th, 2009 in Tampa, Florida, where Tank Mulligan beat Brian Josie. And he's going to use a lot of different names, playing around at first with like that Mulligan, Rotundo legacy before moving on past it. A week later in a non-dark match, Tank Rotundo, tagging with Yoshi Tatsu, beat Brian Josie again, this time with John Cutler. After that, just sort of doing it. He's getting that FCW training, getting matches in, playing with different names, Duke Rotundo, Alex Rotundo. So no real plan, no real defined gimmick, just kind of working it out.
The Bo and Luke Rotundo combo was something to hear. It's like, oh, you went all the way back to Dukes of Hazzard for that one, huh?
And then, aside from tagging up with Bo Rotundo, which is just kind of fun to say, they'd win the tag team titles together. He's also working with some pretty cool names of the time. Byron Saxton, who was still wrestling at the time. Ted DiBiase Jr. before he defrauded the great state of Mississippi. Michael Tarver was there. Trent Beretta, the Usos, Heath Slater, Titus O'Neil. So, like, that's a TV class just all by itself. So by summer of 2010, Windham got yet another name. Husky Harris as Fat Fuck McGee was taken.
Fat Fuck McGillicuddy? Was that it was infringing?
They already had a McGillicuddy, so he's not really fat. We wanted him called fat.
I think he was perfect.
I see what you did there. Husky switched up the hair, going short brown, and in June 2010, he joined NXT Season 2, which at the time, not an entire fed. For the first few seasons, it was this kind of like spin-off sort of reality show. Sometimes it would have its own TV spot. Sometimes it was just shoved into Raw. And this is where a developmental wrestler got paired with a main roster guy. And Husky gets assigned to the grandson of a plumber, Cody Rhodes, which sounds a little fancier now. Cody at the time was sort of a supporting actor to Randy Orton. He's come a long way being the sole creator of AEW, which he molded with his bare hands without help.
See no lies in that. I can agree. I can't think of anybody who I have talked with about said subject that would argue that statement that you just made on this podcast. I would not find any fault or inaccuracies, and I don't think I could draw a witness if I was to have a case. Yeah, did you not see his Twitter account when he was talking with Tony Khan all the time? Did you not see him at AEW with a rolled up piece of paper? He was in charge.
He was wearing a suit. That's the most important part.
And rolled up pieces of paper.
So this is also very much the era of WWE switching up from any sort of gimmick to just being like, here's a dude named Husky in his underwear, buy his merch. I never personally had like the strongest opinion on him, which I guess is bad itself.
Dude, I never missed an episode and I felt the same way.
But worse than that, I think people like actively didn't like Husky, which in all fairness, neither did Windham.
Was that the season that had Eli Cottonwood in it?
Those seasons blur together.
Yeah.
And for you to try and ask me specifically who is in a season of NXT, but then have no clue about Shane Douglas throwing down the NWA World Title and the ECW Arena. But you have no fucking room to talk.
But
okay?
no, Caval was coached by Lay Cool. I remember that.
Oh, fucking Christ.
I think that was this season. That was who I was really excited for. I was like, oh, Low-Key got signed. He's going to come in here. He's going to unlock his true potential. And eventually, no, he got shit out too.
That's not why I was watching Low-Key. I wanted to see that man have a
Implode.
mental break on live television.
I'm surprised he didn't kick Michelle McCool in the head himself.
He had it in him. He had that monster inside of him. Whether you call that bipolarism or CTE, take your pick.
Cody Husky team. Just noticed that Cody has a husky, so that's kind of fun. They're like the dog. Cody Husky team made its debut June 7th.
Did you not see the Instagram video that Cody put out about the Rizzy I had this husky because Bray Wyatt to honor him. And
no,
my father. Did you not see that?
Fuck
no, I did not see that.
His name's Pharaoh, by the way.
I'm making that up, but it sure sounds like something Cody would have said, right?
the fact that I believed it was not good.
The fact that you believe proves it.
So they debuted June 7, 2010 on the viewer choice edition of Raw, and the 23-year-old Rotunda made his TV debut, tagging with Cody to lose to Percy Watson and his pro MVP.
Oh yeah, that was his whole catchphrase. I'm telling you, we could do a whole series on NXT. It's worth it. It's worth the trip.
I'll do it with you. I'm gonna go ahead and say Jake will not. It will be a Nick and Tyler boldest thing.
Absolutely, that's gonna be a
hard pass. Hard pass.
Husky was eliminated August 17th, but he did pop back up to help beat up eventual winner Kaval, already mentioned. And while Husky was going through all this, there was this very cool thing until it was not cool anymore. One of the hottest things in wrestling until they fucking strangled it. 96-97-esque NWO until they turned it into 99 NWO. The Nexus, which funny enough made its debut the same night Husky did his first TV spot. A stable Husky would eventually join, and that's coming up in just a second, but he wasn't around for literally any of the good shit. Not attacking Cena, not Justin Roberts' public hanging, just none of the good stuff.
That was all night one. I mean, after that, it was bleh until Danielson made his return at SummerSlam.
No, didn't Wade Barrett, he got injured? I think he got injured, and then didn't they have CM Punk replace him?
It was so bastardized by that point, I think, because they were down so many members, and they were just trimming the fat. Because Otunga was, I think, one of the few people they actually like out of that. Tarver was gone quick. The Ryback was in it, and this was when he was still Skip Sheffield. By the time Husky comes in, there's only a couple members at that point. And then they're like, "We're not going to listen to you, punk." But I don't want to get ahead of this. This is such a wonderful story. Really one of the brightest points in WWE history.
Yeah, I mean, they were a thing, and then the Danielson thing happened, and then him showing up at Survivor Series, that was super cool. Which I still haven't pitched Bryan Danielson my merch idea yet for him, even though he's a commentator.
What's the item?
He doesn't know how to dress. He doesn't know how to dress to do commentary now. He's like, should I be professional? Do I wear a button-up shirt? He doesn't know what to wear. So he's bringing a sport coat and having a t-shirt on, and he doesn't know what to wear. But here's the thing. I think he needs to have a shirt that has a necktie printed on it because he's not allowed to have an actual necktie that close to Justin Roberts.
Oh, is this a legal agreement?
I think that would be hilarious if Bryan Danielson is doing commentary on AEW and his shirt is just a necktie on a t-shirt, the tuxedo shirts.
I wonder if he periodically just goes over to him and thanks him for his neck getting him fired and allowing him to come back with so much more momentum than he would have had otherwise.
Oh yeah, he would have been lost in the shuffle. It's amazing how, and this goes to show, a small little mistake, something happens to you, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes it can be the best thing for you.
Yep.
And he went on to have some really amazing matches, and then also too, I remember that whole firing at Dragon Gate shows. People would be tossing neckties at him. Mm-hmm. that was a cool thing, man. This is a cool organic thing.
And not to get too far away from, I almost called him Husky, not to get too far away from Bray, but the last little button on that when Danielson came back, that's the match that so fondly known as the one where Cena took the DDT onto the concrete floor, got up, and won the match. It's talked about in different books. Edge tried to tell him, hey, man, you can win. Jericho tried to tell him, yeah, man, you can win. Who gives a shit? But don't take a fucking DDT onto a concrete floor and then pop up like it didn't happen.
Yeah, that was that provoked a tolerance break from me. While the cool Nexus parts were happening, Husky was back over in FCW feuding with Percy Watson. And sort of in between all this, he got his first pay-per-view screen time. I'm not going to say debut. At Hell in a Cell, October 4th, 2010, they did like this fake run-in with McGillicuddy distracting everyone so Husky could run in, deck Cena, allowing Wade Barrett to beat him. But, for a very young wrestler, pay-per-view, you're working with Cena in a spot, and yeah, that's your first experience in it. That was their way into Nexus. October 25th, 2010, they officially joined. But yeah, like you guys mentioned, right at the end, Punk's going to take over in December. New Nexus forms, which Husky's also in. But at that point, just who the fuck cares?
And then it became about the pipe bomb and nothing about Nexus, even though he was wearing a Nexus shirt. And then the whole Punk thing happened. And then it's like the Nexus thing never happened. And then the core was a thing. Yeah. And everybody just... Go find a new hold. Go come up with something new, guys. Hopefully this all works out for you. We gave you enough screen time, so if you want to leave, you're good. But yeah. How wild is this, gentlemen? That was 15 years ago.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
Makes my collarbone hurt.
15 years ago. If Tyler was slightly attractive, he could have knocked up some girl in Whitefield, North Carolina, raised that child, and that child would be 15 years old. Getting ready to play high school football this weekend.
If only. Missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Not only was Nexus sort of over, but not the good over. Not only was Nexus fucked at this point, so was this character, Husky Harris. So what happens? 2011 Royal Rumble, the Nexus screwed over Randy Orton in his title match, leading to the next night on Raw when Husky would get the old RKO and then punted in the head and sent back down to FCW. Was there any sort of backstory of why Randy's punt was so powerful?
He was using it to, well, it wasn't that it was necessarily more powerful. I think he had kind of just honed in on the right way to kick somebody in the temple because he was doing it through started I want to say 2006, 2007 with different WWE legends.
Yeah.
And then eventually John Cena's dad.
I think the John Cena dad thing was a thing because somebody took it and it looked like out of place, violent for the time because at that time WWE was trying to be more PG. And then here's this guy somebody just punting some dude in the head and it was
protected.
They shot it perfectly. The guy took it perfectly. Randy hit it perfectly. And it just became this thing that they could just run over and over and over again. And it's kind of one of those things like, hey, man, you did that really good. Why don't you do that again to somebody else? And again and again. And then it was a thing from then on. And for years, that was always the threat of Randy Orton. The 10 bell pot Patreon. Come on, come on, come on, honey. The guys need some money.
It was clear to Windham, to WWE, to everyone, Husky needed a change. And since Fat Fuck McGee was still taken, he was sent back to FCW, where he first tried out Axel Mulligan wearing a Casey Jones Ninja Turtles style hockey mask, which never actually made TV. On TV, he kept working as Husky. But 2011, also a really crazy time for FCW. Dean Ambrose, Damian Sandow, Seth Rollins, Richie Steamboat, Rusev, Cesaro, just a real AEW power plant. And sorry.
Damian Sandow has never worked there, I will have you know.
Neither does Seth, okay. While working with that talent pool, he was, obviously fine-tuning in the ring. He was also brainstorming, trying to just find that thing, who he was, what he was, and it took a few months, but he finally got there with Bray Wyatt. So the Peacock doc showed him November 16th, 2011 in FCW in a promo workshop class where you see a prototype rough draft Bray Wyatt, the name taken from a childhood friend named Bray Wyatt, not Wyatt, but White, like Jesus. So a little history with this character. In 95, Dan Spivey had a run in WWF where he was Waylon Mercy, who I also really love. Just this sort of creepy, manic, sort of southern vibe.
Cape Fear vibes. Robert De Niro. That definitely existed with that character. So let's give Robert De Niro some credit, and then Dan Spivey some credit, and then we'll get to Bray Wyatt.
So basically they took that shtick, ran it through Wyndham's noggin, and what popped out was Bayou cult leader Bray Wyatt. But Bray had a few tools that Waylon respectfully didn't quite have. First of all, he had the WWE machine pumping out Hollywood quality movies at this point behind him for just a regular ass promo. But Bray was also just god tier on the mic, and he also had like acting chops. He wasn't just saying the lines as Windham. He could turn into like a whole new person, like, you know, like a fucking actor.
Did you just say the WCW machine?
Yeah, he definitely
Did
said
I?
WCW. Yeah. I'm going to let him have it. Well, do keep in mind, if Dusty had any hand in FCW, he had some leftover WCW stuff that he just brought down there because he didn't sell all of it to Michael Bakikio. He definitely had some WCW leftover stuff in a warehouse. I'm sure some of that migrated down to FCW. So you're not wrong. There were bits and pieces of the WCW machine around, Nicholas.
WWE machine. I'll just edit it in that way.
That'll
very
sound
monotone.
so natural.
No, you're leaving it just like this. This is far funnier like this. It's real, and this is the way Bray would have wanted. Real and authentic.
The other note that I had, the guy that he took a little bit of the name from, was it Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
That's the motherfucker that they talked about in the documentary a little bit, that the guy went through a windshield in a car accident when he was young, and his face was devoid of any feeling. So the way that Bray put it was like, yeah, you could punch him or headbutt him or whatever, and he wouldn't feel it. And he also like took a little bit of that guy's personality too. It's like, that's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, and to discuss the Waylon Mercy character, another thing that Bray kind of had going on him is that Dan Spivey was kind of on the last mile or two of his career.
He'd been doing it.
Yeah, that character was unique and it stood out in the new generation era, and it was good, but it just didn't fit. Maybe not even like fully flushed out because there's no way to flush it out in the very cartoony 1995 WWF. But Bray also put a lot more mannerisms and was able to put a presentation in the ring where Dan Spivey's like, I'm Waylon Mercy, and I got this really weird and amazing character that when you put me in front of a camera to cut a promo, it's wild and creepy, but then when I'm in the ring, I'm just Dan Spivey. Like, like, I'm just wrestling the way I was when I was wrestling in a loincloth for Crockett, or when I was wearing a bodysuit tagging with Scott Hall. Like, there was no delineation or difference or physical expression that I'm different and weird.
He took that character, he mixed in some creepy shit, some a manic promo style, and then they also I think some of the most important parts, gave him that lantern and that intro song, which may be the most perfect song ever paired with a wrestler to just introduce their vibe to the world before they even walk out. And it's called Live in Fear by Mark Crozer.
And he said that all the guys in FCW, NXT at the time, they came in and they're like, hey guys, everyone's getting new entrance music. Here's this database. Take a look. And everybody else was like, hell yeah, shitty rock music. That's me. That's my character. And he sat there and meticulously went through with everything and eventually found this song. He was going through with Rob Naylor, and he's like, I want to make sure that this music fits my character perfectly. And they went through and they tried out a few of them, like going out through the entranceway with it and everything, and tried this one, and he got it right, took the time and found what he needed.
Tyler Wood on a scooter, flying high off the scooter. Should have stayed on the computer, but went outside. Sky commuter. Tyler Wood is crashing down to the ground. Oh no, my collarbone. Ouch, ouch, owie, wowie, if you will. Nurse says if he's got insurance. He says, hey lady, that's not important. She says, wait, I know that voice. Aren't you the guy that doesn't know who tags with Ricky Martin?
Seeing this all put together, basically everyone in creative and FCW and WWE were like, we got to get this shit to TV. When WWE rebranded FCW to NXT, Bray debuted on July 11th, 2012, where he beat Aiden English. But that same month, Bray suffered a torn pec at a live event about 2 weeks later. So who knows what that did to sort of twist up plans, but it worked out.
He was very thankful for the pec injury, too, because of what it leads to next. Like, he looked back on it and he was like, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have gotten my family.
But yeah, while he was healing up, Bray continued to appear on TV, forming a stable, the Wyatt family. As we discussed on his episode that November, Brody Lee as Luke Harper came in as the first son, joined by development talent Eric Rowan as the second. He would come back to NXT. His first match back from injury was February 21-13, where he beat Yoshitatsu. And then he took his first loss in March, losing to Bo Dallas, which is like weird booking, but also like maybe he just wanted to give his brother a win. Sort of the whole plan here was to get the Wyatts to TV. The spring of 13 was just fine-tuning everything. He had some, fun moments or whatever, but no like dominant title run, no flowery NXT stuff to really talk about. It was just, let's tighten this up, get it on air. May 27, 2013, episode of Raw, WWE started airing those vignettes, promoting the Wyatts, and this is some of the best work the vignette team has done in a minute.
Very jarring, very quick cuts, and just, very, very well produced. It caught your attention.
Well, definitely how that'll end, where they go, like that sharp smash cut, like sharp in the arenas too when they played them. Like they shut the lights down, and so you could see them fully. And then it would go, blood.
Yeah,
and then sit in the side in the dark for a while. You're like, what the fuck was that? Especially on television. They'd always put him right into a commercial break, so all of a sudden he'd say like a bunch of weird stuff, and you'd hear, blood! And now here's a commercial about Tylenol.
This was happening at a time when I was beyond disenchanted by the product and just taking tolerance breaks left and right. But when the Wyatts popped up, I was like, all right, I'll watch at least one more pay-per-view and see what the fuck happens, because this shit hooked me. July 8th, on Raw, the Wyatts made their debut attacking Kane, and they'd follow that up, beating up wrestlers like R-Truth and Drew McIntyre, Heath Slater, all while sending cryptic messages to Kane about following the Buzzards. They'd finally have a real match on pay-per-view, a Ring of Fire match at SummerSlam 13, which Bray won following interference from Harper and Rowan. He did a quick thing with Kofi, and then the Wyatts settled into like their first full-blown angle with Yes Movement, Daniel Bryan, which at the time maybe the biggest thing in all of wrestling, so it's like not a bad spot to really settle down in. My question, between Bray, Luke, Eric, and Daniel, is this the most bearded feud in pro wrestling history?
It's a good question, because there were definitely like lumberjack brother teams and Yukon guys. And then also you had the Bushwhackers with Joe LeDuc, and they were all bearded to an extent. Well, yeah, from time to time. No, but the level of beardedness, because at this time the brewery movement's big, so the brewery dude beard is like a thing. This is when like Zayn started growing his shit beard that he's got right now. So yeah, I don't think it gets any bigger than this.
Harper and Rowan lost to CM Punk and Daniel at Survivor Series. The Wyatts beat Bryan in a handicap match at TLC in December. Then on the final Raw of 13, Bryan defeated Harper and Rowan in a gauntlet match, meaning he could face Bray, but they interfered for a DQ and attacked him, and Bryan just gave up, joined the Wyatt family. But swerve! On January 13th episode of Raw, Daniel turned on the Wyatts after a steel cage match. Bryan basically snapped right back into full-blown yes Daniel, good guy, and beat that ass.
I think for like the 1 month that he was in the Wyatt family, I will give him credit that he at least wore the fucking jumpsuit and looked the part. Because when Randy Orton eventually joined, it's just Randy Orton. Like nothing about him was changed at all.
What do you mean? He got that weird looking vest. He goes, I got a vest just like you. But I'm Randy Orton.
So this was such a quick feud because people did not like it. And I don't think that was due to Bray or the Wyatts, but this is because Daniel should have been ramping up to WrestleMania, which, spoiler, he did. And I think that response to this feud is maybe even why The Office bit on finally pushing Daniel Bryan. That set up a match at 2014 Royal Rumble, season 27, a match that Dave Meltzer gave 4.25 stars if you give a shit. The ref hits Luke and Eric with text, sends them to the locker room, leaving the spotlight on just Bray and Daniel for what is considered his best in-ring match. Of course, Bryan Danielson has a lot to do with that. But while Bray's moveset is like fairly regular, with the upside down spot was cool, the Sister Abigail is a really cool finisher. If you really consider how large of a human being Bray was and how well he moved, he wrestled like smaller than 300 pounds, like in a good way, like the way KD is 7 foot and can play guard. Tyler, that's basketball.
I mean, he's no Sengun, but he's definitely, yeah, he's definitely moves better than Fred Van Fleet, especially these days. But
is this golf?
Oh no, we're talking about basketball, but more specifically the Houston Rockets. But he was a physical, imposing figure like Dylan Brooks. But also, too, he was a leader of a group much in the same way Ime Udoka is. I can't believe I did this bit as long as I did. But, I mean, you really just have to have your stuff. And you wrestle somebody else, and they have their stuff. And then the magic is how does my stuff and your stuff kind of mix and make it all work. I mean, Bray knew what he could and couldn't do. And he knew when he had to do the gimmick, and he knew when he had to do some wrestling. And he moved enough to do what he needed to do. Would I say that he's a guy who could have main evented Dragon Gate in 2012? I don't know. I mean, if the people buy the character, yeah. So that's all you need is for people to buy the character and buy what you're doing. And everything you do makes sense. So I hate critiquing people on their in-ring work when it's like, it's not even so much about the X's and O's and the moves you do here or that. It's just, are you believable in that sense? And do you give them enough action that they felt like they got their money's worth? That's, at the end of the day, all it needs to be.
Later that same Rumble, the Wyatt family cost John Cena the WWE heavyweight title against Randy Orton, thus starting the first Bray-Cena feud. But not before a detour. On January 27th episode of Raw, the Wyatts attacked Cena as part of this, but that ended up giving Cena's team a DQ win against The Shield, disqualifying them from Elimination Chamber. So they had a little beef. And I think we talked about this on Brody. This could have been like all-time great faction feud, but it's just a blip on the radar. Quick Elimination Chamber match, February 23rd. Wyatt's win in what was rated 4.5 stars by Wrestling Observer. It was also called one of WWE's best matches of the decade. The crowd was like begging for this feud, the two coolest things in wrestling head to head, but fuck them crowds.
I mean, it's kind of when they look back at, like, you look back at old wrestling tapes and you're like, oh shit, these people wrestled each other? And it was kind of like in a featured match on a pay-per-view. Like, you look back at some old NWA stuff or Mid-South stuff or WCW pay-per-views. You're like, whoa, shit, this guy wrestled this guy? And, like, people didn't lose their damn mind over it. It's just kind of like the place they were at the time. And people didn't recognize how important it was. It's just kind of one of those things that happen. Like, if you're not, especially at this time in WWE, if you're not John Cena or Randy Orton or Triple H or whoever's at the top of the card, they don't give a shit, really, at the end of the day.
And I mean, moving on, Bray went to feud with Cena, so it's not like it was bad for him. I think Luke and Eric kind of ate shit, but Bray specifically, he went on to feud with Cena.
How'd that turn out?
Yeah, well, we'll get to it. At that same Elimination Chamber, the Wyatts later interfered in Cena's Elimination Chamber match, which caused Cena to lose, to get eliminated, again, scaling up that feud. And their build to Mania, again, not bad. Like, it was Bray standing toe-to-toe, biggest star of the era. They took a cool angle with it. You know, Bray was calling Cena's squeaky clean hero character Facade. We get some really cool Bray moments out of it. He's got the whole world in his hands, came out of this. But, you know, booking wise, like Tyler brought up, he's just going to get fucking burned to the ground because that was WWE at the time. And I think there was so much like anger specifically in this era because of WWE booking. Anyone with momentum was crushed, usually by Cena, which I don't think was John Cena. Like, it wasn't a Hulk Hogan thing. It was just Vince didn't want to gamble on his revenue stream. But I think all this like hate this era gets, the rage, the message board comments, the people turning off the TV for weeks and months, specifically came from how they treated Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. Like, specifically how they were done by creative, I think was the root of a ton of that at the time.
I mean, the crowd. Listen to them. That's what they teach you in wrestling school. And that's what every old timer always tell a young wrestler. Like, all those people that are walking around with rolled up pieces of paper that are writers and executive writers of SmackDown. You got to listen to the crowd. You got to listen to the crowd. They're like, oh, yeah, well, when Bray Wyatt was killing it and the crowd was chanting and wanting more of it and wanting it to be like a bigger thing, you're like, well, we've got to stay the course with Cena. It's not that big yet. I mean, yeah, they're behind it, but it's going to be a flavor of the month thing. They're excited about it now, but it's a flavor of the month thing. Like, and that's what it always felt like with WWE.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing about Cody finishing the story when they fucked him over at one WrestleMania, and then they're like, gave it to him in the next one. You know, that was the shocking part. You're like, oh, how are they going to screw him over this time? And don't tell me that was your plan, to screw him over one year to give it to him in the next year. Don't rewrite history. You were just doing what you always do, because we saw it. We have far more cases of you not pulling the trigger on somebody, not taking somebody to that next level.
There are two huge ones happening right here with Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan, and the only reason that happened is because that one was just that little bit more. They hijacked the end of that Royal Rumble and booed the fuck out of Rey Mysterio. It's not Rey Mysterio's fault. He's one of the most over wrestlers they've ever had, but they wanted to voice how pissed off they were that they weren't being listened to. And this is the WWE that I will always remember when people try to tell me that. And even now, it's not good.
We know better than you. We know better than you. Yes. That is the thing.
Vince's fucking crazy delusions.
I can't put it all on Vince. It's the yes men around him. Those yes men that like, well, Vince wouldn't like it. You know, like, where if those guys gave him proper counsel, the spot and counsel as his executive producer, his head of talent relations, his longtime confidant, like, if they gave him proper advice, like, hey man, I think you might got something with this Bray Wyatt guy, he'd probably listen. You know, Vince is like, well, this Bray Wyatt shit's a flash of the pan. Like, oh yeah, sure, Vince, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, he became so powerful that the people around him couldn't give him honest advice. And
the emperor has no depends on.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's got to pull them down to defecate on another human being. Yes. That's his thing.
Well, thank God Brock Lesnar will never get brought back, since he's involved in that too.
But I don't know. Like, this is a moment. Like, this Mania match. I remember watching it, and as soon as I saw Cena win, I was like, "Yep, they did it again. WWE did it again." You didn't listen. You didn't listen to the crowd. You didn't feel it. You didn't get it. You didn't take an opportunity to take somebody to the next level, because then the rematch of that at SummerSlam is going to draw more money. They weren't interested in that. They were just interested in just generating content. Well, John Cena's got all these activations for us. Just that stupid bullshit, and the people close to him not giving him proper counsel, just being a yes man. Because trust and believe, I'm sure 1990 or 1992, Bruce Pritchard was like, hey man, we might got something with Bret Hart here. You know, this Shawn Michaels kid might be something. And or 95, like, you know, Vince is like, oh, this is a good match with Steve Austin. And then all the agents going, yeah, Steve Austin, like, he's really doing a really good job on the house show circuit. Like, people giving him proper counsel and him listening, because he'll listen. But if you were just a yes man, that's what I feel like happened at this spot, and it was detrimental wrestling. So I can't be overly mad, because it has nothing really to do with. I mean, it hurts me as a wrestling fan, but it's just human behavior and things getting too big and the dynamics of things fucking everything up. But at the same time, too, this angst, this weird feeling basically was a molecule that got pushed out in the world to then make independent wrestling better, became something that people sought after and felt satisfied by. Like, oh, I go here and the crowd's going crazy for this guy and he wins. Well, that's different than what I see on TV. It was kind of the molecule that gets sent out to the world, helped make independent wrestling more successful, which then helped create All Elite Wrestling. So all of this bad stuff that we're talking about right now created a little molecule that combined with another molecule has created another WrestleMania, banged against each other, and then here we are in the landscape right now that everybody bitches about, when it's actually the best wrestling's ever fucking been in the history of fucking man.
Well, I take solace in the fact that at least they wouldn't fuck him over at WrestleMania again.
So after the loss at Mania, they gave him a dirty interference win at Extreme Rules in a steel cage. And then they wrapped up this version of the feud with a last man standing match at Payback, where Cena literally buried Wyatt under multiple equipment cases to win and wrap up that feud. Following Cena, Bray and the Wyatts went after Chris Jericho, a full-blown rehabilitation tour, which Jericho literally called it that. He said he pitched the feud to sort of clean up Bray after those Cena losses, do a little damage control. Jericho polishes Bray back up for that. And then beginning September 29, 2014, we got vignettes showing that Bray was going to set Harper and Rowan free. So this is the first little Wyatt family breakup. So after about a year and a half on the roster, they're going to let them all go solo. And I think this is finally WWE maybe testing to see what Bray is like as just, all by himself.
He looked like shit with people. Why have him have a faction if they're not going to do anything? And then they're going to let him go. And it's like, well, maybe he's more powerful now by himself. How does that make any fucking sense?
Yeah, but at the same time, too, like, it's they were better together, But, like, let's just separate them and see if something sticks. It's the mentality you see in football all the time. Like, my college football team sucks so bad. Fire the coach. Okay, well, who are you going to hire that's better than this guy? Who are you going to hire that's better than this guy? If you don't have a plan, what are we doing here? Let's just break them up and see what happens. It's time to break them up. It's trying to do something different. Well, fucking know it would have been different? Put him over at Mania. That would have been crazy.
Next up for Bray was a feud with Dean Ambrose, where Bray was offering to fix him like he had done Harper and Rowan. But honestly, you can't fix people. Change has to be self-discovery. And Bray was never going to be able to give Dean the love he needed because the love Dean needed had to come from Dean.
And there's no changing John Moxley. That man is who he is. Let him be. I love him dearly. But man, that man is a feral cat. That is the best way to put it.
This is actually a really one-sided feud for Bray. He basically beats Dean a handful of times, wrapping it up with an ambulance match on an episode of Raw, which Bray also won. So Bray's back, 2 feuds won, a little distance from Cena. So the next big thing, February 9th on Raw, Wyatt began a series of promos referring to himself as the new face of fear. Yet the cowards at WWE didn't have the basic human decency to bring in Ming and Barbarian. Tyler, that's WCW.
Oh, gotcha.
At Fastlane, February 22nd, Wyatt emerged from a casket and challenged The Undertaker to a match at WrestleMania, which Taker later accepted. And I remember being like, all right, dark supernatural guy versus dark supernatural guy, pass the torch, but Bray loses to Undertaker at WrestleMania.
And this is when it meant nothing because the streak's broken. Why does it fucking matter? And then sets him up with, what is there, another win after this before he loses to Reigns again? What's the point? Why?
And to talk about the Brock streak thing, if you save it for Bray here, you're talking about like a fucking mafia level made man forever. And it did nothing for Brock.
Yeah.
Like no one talks about the streak anymore. Yeah. Like about Brock breaking it. Like,
dude, there are a few guys there. If it was him, if it was Punk the year before, this would have made them. It would have elevated them. But
forever.
Yeah, but I've always, since he came back in 2012, what has there ever been in the way of like down the road? What's the payoff for Brock Lesnar? What's the payoff? It doesn't make any sense because sometimes he'll trade wins back and forth with people, but he's always a monster that can eat people at a moment's notice. I've never gotten it. I've never understood it. There's never been a payoff. There's never been a long term for it. And he was given the streak for no fucking good reason.
Tyler. He fought in the UFC.
Oh, the real thing that Vince could have bought, but he was too fucking stupid to.
He fought in the UFC. He was a UFC main event. We're talking about box office. He fought in the UFC. He was famous outside of WWE. Hence why Logan Paul is going to be the biggest thing in WWE. And if we could ever figure out a way for Mr. Beast to take some fucking bums, for Christ's sake, we'll put the Intercontinental belt on the motherfucker. Like, for Christ's sakes, dude, just get in the fucking gym and take some bums. What's wrong with you? You're fucking up the wrestling business, Mr. Beast, for not getting in here. We want to put the workhorse belt on you. Come on, man.
I took 100 wrestling bumps for 100 days straight, and now I have CTE.
So next up for Bray was a feud with Roman Reigns, but that actually brings back Wyatt Family 2.0. Money in the Bank, Wyatt interferes in that match, attacking Roman right as he was about to grab the briefcase. At Battleground, Wyatt beat Roman with the help of returning Luke Harper. Then at SummerSlam, August 23rd, Wyatt and Harper lost to Reigns and Ambrose. But that following night, Wyatt introduced a new member of the Wyatt family, Braun Strowman, who attacked Ambrose and Reigns.
They were getting just a little bit of momentum back, and then everybody sees Braun Strowman. I remember the rumor mill going, and it's like, Braun Strowman's the next big thing. That's Vince loves him. He sees him as a future star, and
I feel like his new reality show, everything on the menu is going to be great. So,
are you serious?
Hopefully that takes, hopefully that takes off. He becomes a ratings juggernaut and then comes back and wins the belt because he's famous outside of WWE. Duh, Tyler, are you not seeing the long game here?
Braun Strowman versus Mr. Beast, Saudi Arabia, WrestleMania main event. Speaking of WrestleMania, let's jump to 32, 2016, where I was at with Jake.
Oh, you saw this live?
Yeah.
You saw, if I can kind of capture the magic that WWE documentary was trying to present, you captured that one-of-a-kind, that once-in-a-lifetime moment of The Rock putting over the Wyatt family? Wow, how lucky of you two.
And this is obviously kind of a clusterfuck. I some spots on Mania are just supposed to be like fun or silly and just get someone paid because they were on the show, but having them lose to The Rock in 6 seconds, they couldn't have done literally anything else, like nothing else, no other thing.
I remember that show just being a hodgepodge of just shit. Like, and we didn't have seats. We were
we had to stand up the whole time. Yeah,
they had to stand up the whole time. And like when it came time for that main event, Triple H versus Roman Reigns, I was like, no fucking thank you. I will leave this building right now.
Well, at least Triple H, at least he's a good guy, right?
I'm actually very let down and disgusted by Triple H.
Oh, you're surprised? You're surprised that they kept the fucking Saudi deal going and he's also in the White House next to Trump on a daily fucking basis? Did you see that Trump forgot who he was?
No.
There's like it's during this, I don't know, there's some fucking bill they have doing with like kids fitness or something like that. But Trump's like, yeah, he's very good. He's very good. Multiple time WWE champion. Oh, yeah, look at that. It's, the very wonderful, he's fantastic. Not as good as me, but the very good Triple H. Oh, right there. There he is. Good friend of mine right there. Yes.
I think that's only our second ever Trump impression on this podcast, both done by Tyler.
I don't remember the first
kind of
one.
nailed it. Like perfect. Like the mannerisms and yeah, good.
Then we get to we're starting to take the other side of this first version of Bray Wyatt. April 4th episode of Raw, the Wyatts attacked the League of Nations, teasing a little face turn, but that got fucked up when April 13th, a live show in Italy, Wyatt got a calf injury, which pulled him off TV, off the tour. That made him miss all of May, a big chunk of June. But when the Wyatts returned, they started up against New Day, so they just kept being hills. Then 2016, they split up the family with Wyatt and Rowan going to SmackDown. But all this move over to SmackDown Live leads to Randy Orton. And I like Randy. I love the Wyatts. I like ketchup. I like cake. I don't think any of those things should be together.
Or at least have the ketchup look like icing.
Is this ketchup? Is this a ketchup bottle or is it cake?
Bray and Randy set up a match at 2016 Backlash on September 11th, which the actual Backlash to September 11th was a 20-year pointless war.
That's an all-timer. Clip that. That's a good joke.
That's good. And then put us in the fast lane
for some payback.
So this is a weird match because Randy was legit hurt after a Lesnar match at SummerSlam. So they did this whole thing where Bray beat up Randy early in the show. He forfeits. Bray instead wrestles Kane. But there's an RKO out of nowhere where Randy comes back in the match, hits Bray. This is just all such a clusterfuck angle. Orton challenges Wyatt to No Mercy, which he accepted and won with the help of Luke. But then in November, just sort of for no reason, Randy just says if you can't beat him, join him, and joins the Wyatt family. It's just, I can't follow why it happened. They end up winning Survivor Series together, the 4-team SmackDown. They won the tag team titles from Heath Slater and Rhino, which was actually Bray's first WWE title.
And it's Heath's one thing that he has milked to the end of time for bookings. I remember when I was tag team champion with Rhino.
I got kids.
Well, and then I got kids. And then, like, when indie bookers book me, I tell them I can get you Rhino, too, and we can tag. But at the same time, too, good for him. Glad he's got it. Glad. And you know what? Made more out of that, winning that shitty copper penny fucking belt than anybody ever fucking did. Especially when you got kids.
Little riff here where on December 27th, they used the Freebird rule for Luke and Randy to defend the titles against American Alpha. They lose, which starts a big beef with them. Like we mentioned on Brody's episode, this leads to Wyatt giving him an old sister Abigail and Harper being out of the Wyatt family. So all this is kind of a setup for the next year. So who says they don't do long-term storytelling, even if it's muddy? Randy wins the 2017 Royal Rumble. On February 12th at Elimination Chamber, Wyatt wins the fucking WWE title by winning the Elimination Chamber match. This was his first singles title, and everyone, myself included, was super pumped because after years of basically abuse, you just never expected them to like pull the trigger.
And how'd it feel?
In the most limp dick way possible.
Yep.
So they could go, see, don't say I never gave you nothing.
And then when he's not over, because the momentum was 2 or 3 fucking years ago, they're like, he can't get the fuck over. It's like, yeah, because everyone's afraid you're going to snatch the shit away.
That all leads to Randy turning on Bray.
For what? For the same reason he joined?
Yeah, just cause. He destroys the Wyatt family compound, including Sister Abigail's grave. Not the first desecration of a grave for a wrestling angle, so you know it's gonna be good.
Katie Vick wasn't in the ground yet.
Randy beats Bray at WrestleMania 33, ending his 49 days of championness. And now it's really all downhill for his first WWE run. But out of the ring, Bray separated from his first wife, Samantha Rotunda, and Windham began a relationship with WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman. I was not familiar with your game, sir.
No, you gotta say it like Shaq. I'm sorry. Oh, great. Hey guys, it's Kevin Hart here. Just want to say you're doing a fantastic Table Pod. Just want to come in, do a run-in impersonation of Shaq, and then leave on my pile of money. Bye!
Was this Randy WrestleMania, the one where he had the sperm walk him to the ring down the entrance ramp?
On the floor?
Yeah, there was like a viper, but it looked like a sperm.
Yeah.
Well, that's apropos, because that whole thing sucked dick.
Bray and JoJo stayed together, had a couple of kids. They chose the partner route over traditional marriage, but they'll be together until Bray's passing. Back in the ring, Bray had a quick run with Seth Rollins at Great Balls of Fire and then beating him again the next Raw. He had another very quick feud with Finn. Bray lost to Demon Finn at SummerSlam and No Mercy, and they were supposed to have another match at TLC, but he got an illness and was replaced by the greatest wrestler on God's flat earth, AJ Styles. And then this is something that was just so... I think this is going to lead to a Jake thing, but when he comes back, he starts teaming up with Broken Matt Hardy, taking us into 2018, which is just those two characters, mashing together is just pure fucking chaos. But that leads to the Ultimate Deletion match, which Wyatt was pushed into the Lake of Reincarnation. I can't do a voice. Lake of Reincarnation, where he disappeared. You worked on that, right?
You what?
Oh. Let me tell you a fucking story about this. So the ring that is used in that match is a High Spots ring. So Matt Hardy called the High Spots office, said he needed a ring because they were doing some deletion match at his compound again, and they needed a ring. So we were tasked with setting the ring up. I didn't go to set the ring up because they did it earlier today, but we were going to be there to take it down. But then Matt also said, hey, make sure you stop by and maybe we'll use you as an extra. We'll see. So we showed up like about when they were filming, and we made sure we got there early. Met up with Matt and Jeff and say, hey, we're here. If you need us, just let us know. We'll get the ring down, whatever. Cool. Thought it's got my phone number. If you need people, we're right here. Like, kind of thought we'd be kind of like extras or used or something. I've got like 3 of my students, and we're just sitting in the truck. And it's kind of like, when was this? This was like a fall. Mm-hmm. It was kind of cool outside. Like, I remember it being that, and we just sat in the High Spots truck waiting for, like, Matt Hardy to be like, hey, come on over, or what's you hanging at the house, or, or we need your help, or we need guys to get beat up, or just like, hey, we're done with the ring. Like, and we got there like 9, I think just before dark, and we sat there all night. And we were far enough away we couldn't see anything, but we saw, like, fireworks going off and shit. They're like, okay, we're just sitting out here waiting for this ring to be over with, or for them to use us, or whatever. Like, keep in mind, this is like, all Matt's like, we might need some guys, and no call, no reply. We're sitting there, and then the sun starts coming up. And finally, I sent him a message at like 5 a.m. I'm like, hey man, are you done with this ring? Like, do you need us for anything? And he goes, oh yeah, we've been done for 3 hours.
Oh, Jesus.
So I slept in your field in the middle of nowhere, and I could have took this ring down, and I could have slept a few hours in my bed.
Man, you ain't coming into my house.
Yeah. And like, come to find out, it took a lot longer than expected, because basically they were shooting the footage, and Vince was in Connecticut looking at the footage and telling him, I don't like this, go back out and shoot that again. Keep in mind, every time they shoot it, go back and forth, they're losing darkness. And this was, I think, for SmackDown, and it's on a Wednesday, so they need Thursday to edit it. So it's got to be done by Thursday morning for it to be, like, aired on SmackDown. So you're only getting this night because you're not going to get the time Thursday night. So, like, they're losing precious hours. They're coming up with different stuff. But Vince was like, no, this. Like, he was changing everything. Because they kept uploading the footage to him, and then he'd make critiques and tell him to do this or tell him to do that. Meanwhile, Jake Manig's sitting in a Chevy Silverado pickup truck or Canyonero, whatever it was, waiting for this to be over with, and come to find out he could have left a lot earlier. I felt so bad for all the students I had with me. I bought, I think, like 10 Bojangles chicken biscuits on the way back to Charlotte, because it's about 2 hours from Matt Hardy's house to the High Spots warehouse, like almost 2 hours on the dot. So on the way back, first Bojangles I went to, I was like, give me 10 Cajun filet biscuits. And I just put them in the back seat. And goes, like, guys, eat as many as you want. You guys earned it. If you want 3 of them, have 3 of them. Let's just make sure I get 1.
Where does this fall in the Matt Hardy? Because he's broken at this point, so he's been to TNA once to go through that thing, and then he's come back. Is Jeff isn't with him at this point, because then they go back to TNA during the pandemic, right? And then they're back to WWE, and then they're back to TNA, which is now kind of WWE.
Jeff is there, but he's not teaming with Matt, which is weird because he was part of the whole package. But there's always this thing, well, let's not put him with the package right away, and they just never did. Like, we'll give you Bray Wyatt. Like, if I'm not mistaken, that's how it went, and Jeff Hardy was just Jeff Hardy, because Jeff Hardy makes money here.
Yeah, that's right.
Jeffrey Nero Hardy doesn't make money. It just makes the Matt Hardy act better, and we didn't create that, so we don't want to make money on that.
That's right. They didn't go back to TNA first thing during the pandemic because they went to AEW. I fucking forgot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of those few debuts, like, man, if there was a crowd there, would have been fantastic.
Wyatt would actually turn face and team up with Hardy after being thrown into the lake of reincarnation because, it changes you, changes who you are. They squeezed a tag team title win out of it at Blood Money Show Greatest Royal Rumble, defeating Cesaro and Sheamus. But they dropped the belts not too long after, because as you could imagine, these two characters, these two artists throwing out so much wild shit was just too much for everyone. I think for each other, for production, for trips, for Vince. So they got broken up, and ironically, having too many ideas got Bray handed a creative has nothing for you, and he was sent home for the first time in a long time to have to reinvent himself. Boy, did he. So April 2019, ominous vignettes began airing across WWE programming, depicting a sinister buzzard puppet, a witch doll, other toys. Eventually ended up with a Vince in there, a pig. Later that month, Wyatt would appear on pre-recorded segments as the host of this sort of Mr. Roger-y children's show, Firefly Funhouse, sporting different hair. He was a lot leaner and sort of muscular and a much shorter beard. Each segment sort of ramped up more than the next, got more darker, more sinister. Do you guys remember this shit? Because I was on board with it. I loved all this like weird shit.
Yeah, it was really good stuff. I got back into WWE around this time. I was living with a girl and we would watch at least SmackDown every week, but I remember seeing the Firefly Funhouse stuff and it was a cool departure, but fool me 8 times, shame on me.
I liked it because he'd been so dark for so long. Like, this is the only way for you to go. And you doing this after you've been so dark is kind of creepier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it, but I'll tell you what I did is much like what people won't understand. And when people talk about ratings in wrestling, this is a clear argument why that's dumb. Never sat down and watched a WWE television show, but I damn sure watched the Firefly Funhouse segments on Twitter and Instagram and those things. And that's essentially what people don't realize is how a lot of people consume their wrestling. They won't watch a show. They won't buy a pay-per-view, but they'll go on Twitter or they'll go on YouTube, I guess, if you're younger. Instagram, definitely, TikTok, and that's how they consume wrestling. And then that's all the wrestling they see. Mm-hmm. That is the only way that they consume it. And these little things was a fun thing to consume, and it was one of the only things I was consuming from WWE at the time. So I was interested by it, but much kind of the sense of Tyler, I'm like, how is this going to falter? But I will say, I was not disappointed where we got to.
What this all gave us was The Fiend. And I remember The Fiend walking out. It was the first time since the pipe bomb. What year are we in now? Fucking almost a goddamn decade ago. That I was like texting people and being like, oh my fucking God, are you seeing The Fiend? Like, I was so pumped about this whole character, this whole shtick, the show, the evilness like coming out of it. It was just...
The mask was so fucking good.
The timeline here, July 15th episode of Raw, Wyatt as The Fiend attacked Finn Balor, setting up Fiend as a bad guy. But that did not last long because he was so fucking cool. Like, people like started cheering Fiend. At SummerSlam, August 11th, basically squashed Finn Balor. And over the next weeks, Fiend would attack a lot of legends, Kurt Angle, Jerry Lawler, and Mick Foley, even lifting Foley's finishing move, the Mandible Claw, and starting to use that in matches. Then The Fiend began a feud with Universal Champion Seth Rollins by attacking him September 15th, 19 at Clash of Champions. It leads to something. I love Seth. I love The Fiend, but it leads to one of the worst matches in WWE history. Neither of their fault. At Hell in a Cell, October 6th, they faced each other in a cell match, but it ended in a referee stoppage after The Fiend was buried under several weapons, all types of shit. I think Seth hit him with a sledgehammer like 1,000 times, a million finishers. The Fiend eventually popped out, Mandible Clawed him, but this is one of the most hated moments in decades, I think, because the fucking ref stoppage in the middle of a Hell in a Cell. I mean, this got live boos, bullshit chants.
Wasn't this also during the red Hell in a Cell?
Yeah, this was like red, the lights in. And is it the one where Seth was almost impaled by the fucking...
Yeah, he's coming back in as his feet lowered down or something, yeah.
That would have been some fucking shit, because he would have died, like, immediately. After this, The Fiend defeated Rollins October 31st at Blood Money Show Crown Jewel in a Falls Count Anywhere match to win said Universal title.
Can we always refer to the Saudi shows as the Blood Money shows?
I try.
Can we do that much in the same sense we weren't allowed to He Who We Shall Speak Of? Can we always refer to the Saudi shows as the Blood Money shows, please?
I'm on board.
Okay. All right. I don't think I'll ever work there, so I feel like I'm allowed to be a dickish about it. I feel like even though I've trashed Vince McMahon, I still probably could, but at the same time too, don't know if I want to. But I'm all about like trashing the Saudi shows. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if AEW ends up in Qatar one day, but like that country's got its own set of circumstances. But I'll tell you one thing: we will be made sure that we are taken care of to the nth degree. So.
Jake, are you telling me you think there's a reason WWE wouldn't work with anybody?
Definitely not.
We did a bit one time, right? The Rwandan genocide fucking match. I can't remember the segment, but we did that. So this win gave us that fucking Fiend belt, which, again, I love Bray. I love the Fiend. Did not care for this belt. Since he won it in Saudi Arabia, I assume it was made out of actual skin of a journalist. The Fiend went after Daniel Bryan after this, who he beat at Survivor Series and the following SmackDown. Wyatt retained against Daniel at Survivor Series, which led him to a very quick little bump with The Miz. Then we get to 2020, the coolest, most funnest, bestest year all time.
I had fun.
I actually, as an introvert, this was my shit.
I actually thrived as a human being. As Caleb Connolly has told me many times, when things are at their worst, I'm at my best. And during COVID, I was never better. I had abs.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I had abs. I got mentally well. I learned how to talk to women. I was making more money at High Spots than I ever have after the whole debacle of being unemployed for a little while and then finally coming back and getting a raise. Like, I can actually make enough money to live while working at High Spots. Michael was gracious enough to give me that, even though it's half of what I make at AEW right now. So that's crazy. But yeah, I was never better. I just missed the thing that I like to do, which was wrestling and stand-up. All the things that I thought were going to be in my life taken away from me, and never really got any of them back, surprisingly.
Fiend was able to sneak in a successful title defense at Royal Rumble January 26, 2020. The fucking clock is ticking, though. On February 7th, episode of SmackDown, Goldberg challenged The Fiend for the Universal title during an on-screen interview. At the Super Showdown event, February 20, should have named it Super Shutdown. You see what I did there? At February 27th, The Fiend suffered his first loss to Goldberg, ending his title reign, 118 days. And am I saying that Goldberg winning the WWE title caused COVID? Yes. God promised he would never flood the world again, so he had to get creative to punish humanity for Bill Goldberg winning a title in 2020. He put 5G in that bat. It was divine intervention, forced boycott of WWE.
Was there any point to this other than a person with billions of dollars in Saudi Arabia wanted somebody that was famous 20 years ago? Is that it?
It's 100% a yes.
Yeah, you got to accommodate to those people. They paid for the show.
Yeah, they've made more money doing those than they have WrestleManias at this point, I think.
This was during the era, they were like requesting like the big boss man and like people who had been dead for 20 years and shit.
And here's the thing too, doing it once, like, I get it, because then that kind of sets you up as a company, but continuing to do it, all right. Like, I have a very complex thing about the Saudi Arabia shows. Oh. Like the first one, there was no women because they weren't allowed to have women wrestling or doing anything in a positive manner. And at that time, the women's division was very hot, and Triple H was criticized for it. Triple H made a comment like, look, if we want to affect any change, you got to work with bad people. Yeah. Well, effectively, is what he said. And then the next show, they had a women's match. It was very short and kept it brief. Now you look at it, the females are able to perform. They're wearing the bodysuits, but the girls are kind of getting in like, hey, how about I have this cool bodysuit or this cool bodysuit? And it's become a thing. And does that affect the females in that country going, I can be more than what I am? Now, granted, it will cause those females to go, I need to go to America, and then come to America and come to find out we fucking hate immigrants. Like,
not doing great with women either.
So there's that
at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So there is that, but it could be change. It has created change, but at the same time too, WrestleMania, what are we doing here? It's gonna
be the greatest one.
I go back and forth on the Saudi thing too, bouncing between like, is this a genuine effort for them to like progress and change? Like, hey guys, our people deserve good shit too. We're trying to not be fucking stuck in the 1400s, yada yada. Or is this all like a band-aid? Is this a trick? Or are they genuinely trying to like change and move into the future? That's always been my thing with Saudi. Murdering journalists because they wrote something bad about you is not a good start.
Or in the same sense, pass legislation that does real damage to the trans community. And don't worry, as long as the next Marvel movie hits, we're all good as America.
Yeah. I was writing a thing about Saudi, and then I was like, oh shit, we're like beat for beat this too, so maybe I should just shut the fuck up. I don't know.
The first Saudi show, April 27th, 2018. It was the greatest Royal Rumble, 50-man greatest Royal Rumble of all time. Jamal Khashoggi was murdered October 2nd, 2018. So that happened after the first WWE show.
Yeah.
So it's not even trying to rehab an image. It's just public relations with a shitty company. It's making them look better on a PR front. WWE is the one to be doing it with because Triple H cannot trip over himself fast enough to get to Donald Trump's fucking ballsack. But we should keep politics out of wrestling, fellas. I don't want to upset anybody.
When it infiltrates every little fabric of life, it's kind of hard to not talk about it.
My health insurance is about to go up, but hey, Triple H is getting a fucking tax cut, so good for him and stuff.
Titleless, The Fiend moved on to a returning John Cena and challenged him to a match at WrestleMania 36, which of course John accepted. And at this point, no fans were at the Performance Center for WrestleMania. And on the second night of it, they do a cinematic match between Bray and Cena, which I fucking loved. I was all about this match.
I think this is,
I don't know
which,
how you guys...
by the way, they had big shoes to fill with AJ Styles and the Undertaker cinematic match.
And but they followed it. It was good.
It was good. It's good. Yeah, the two matches, they were the best two matches of WrestleMania. Hands down. And the whole acknowledgement of like, hey, remember when you fucked me over at Mania in the midst of all that? That was real cool. But I think the end was weird. I don't remember what the end was.
I think this is my favorite Bray Wyatt match.
It's one of my favorite things I think WWE's ever done. Like just the trippiness and the experimentation and
What
just
if?
going for it. Like,
Yeah.
It's just brilliant, the whole thing.
This is Cena's favorite match. I think he said that recently. This is his favorite match of all time. Which, who would have thought the one that doesn't involve any actual wrestling would be his favorite?
The Fiend actually wins this match, giving Bray Wyatt his first and only WrestleMania win. Following this, things get a little spotty for Bray and The Fiend. I think fucking Pritchard said this, which I hate fucking agreeing with anything he says. He said that Bray and The Fiend is such like a big production. There's just no way to get that over in a fucking empty arena. So you see him sort of disappear. He took a stab at Braun Strowman's Universal title. They tried to implement some more cinematic matches. There's like the horror show and there's some swamp fight. Yeah, the Wyatt swamp fight. Then Alexa Bliss gets involved in the Bray angle, and Alexa like super loves Bray, so like I didn't want to completely blow through her involvement in it. SummerSlam, The Fiend beat Strowman to win the title again. After the match, they both were attacked by a returning Roman Reigns. Payback, Fiend defended the title against Strowman and Reigns in a triple threat, which he lost when Reigns pinned Strowman. So the Fiend started back up with Randy Orton at TLC, and in December, The Fiend in a Firefly Inferno match where he got set on fire. So at Fastlane March 21st, 21, The Fiend returned in this sort of melted, charred setup. It's literally that sketch from I Think You Should Leave where he's like, I have too much fucking shit on me. Like Bray couldn't move in it.
Yeah, this whole setting on fire thing, I think this is where it jumped the shark. Like pandemic wrestling.
Yep.
Like if we were to ever do an episode on pandemic wrestling, did we
That'd
do
be
one on
fun.
pandemic? I thought we did, and it wasn't good. I thought we did a drunk history of the pandemic
wasn't there.
wrestling.
Oh,
Regardless,
you know what? Yeah.
which, regardless, this is where it jumped the shark. Because when you're doing pandemic wrestling, you're like, oh, you can have multiple takes. You can do different things. You can think outside the box. But then sometimes it's like, you think so far out of the box, it's not wrestling anymore,
Yeah, you're doing
guys.
too much.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just not wrestling.
You telling me they ran something into the ground?
WrestleMania 37, he finishes up with Randy. Alexa Bliss is going to eventually turn on him. April 12th Raw would end up being Bray's final appearance of this stint of WWE. He was released in July 31 as part of WWE's pandemic layoff spree. And it was really weird and like just fucking jarring. Like you put the title on him multiple times, let him have massive creative control, and then one day, fire him.
We got a bottom line, pal. He got fired. I remember at the time we were doing virtuals, and we were like, "Oh, we're gonna get the Fiend for a signing. We're gonna get a Fiend for the signing. We're gonna get a Fiend signing." Like that was always like the big thing. And I remember he priced himself like completely out of the market, and he wasn't interested in doing anything wrestling related. I think they ended up getting some stuff signed eventually and getting him to do a signing, but like there was talk of him doing movies at this time. Like he was like, "Yeah, I'm done with wrestling. Like I'm far more fulfilled with doing this weird cinematic stuff. Maybe I can do short films and shit." So,
and they were alleging he was quote unquote hard to work with at this time. Some like creative differences, and he's just being a little too, prima donna-y, I guess. But I don't know. When you you get some leeway after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do enough good shit. Yeah, you do have a say in what your character does and doesn't do.
And if you tell Bruce Pritchard no, if that's the case, then you gotta go.
And every time he like gets something like on track, they just fuck it all to hell. So of course he's gonna be like precious about his ideas and fight for them because you've steered him wrong almost every single time.
Bruce Pritchard says yes to Vince McMahon all the time, so he expects you to say yes to him all the time. And it's just a free-flowing stream of yes all the way up to Vince McMahon. Okay? Like, we got to get a stream of yes running up to
Shit
Vince
flows
McMahon.
uphill.
Well, according to some court documents, Vince does not take no for an answer.
Dude, I swear to God, the court documents say that he had a white dildo that he called Brock Lesnar, and he had a black dildo.
You're stuck on this. You've said this is the third time you've said this.
Because I want it to be known. I'm not joking.
We are trying to talk. We're trying to honor Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, and you want to keep bringing up Brock. Hey, did you read the court documents? I have. I've jacked off to him. Like, he's got this big, huge white dildo that he calls Brock.
Well, do you know what the black one's called?
It's great. What's the black one?
Bobby
called?
Lashley.
Damn right it is. Old B-Lash. Give her the old B-Lash.
Oh, shit.
Bray got fired. He spent the next year at home with his family. He got super into painting. If you watched the doc, you saw that. And then he got into some passion projects, some side projects, trying to film some stuff, get into the movie world. But in 2022, he'd be right back in WWE. September 17th, WWE started playing this version of White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, and they do it at live events, they do it at commercial breaks, so they do it on the show. They had a QR code on the screen. I think that's the first time we've ever mentioned QR codes on this show. So each code led to like a website where there were like little games and riddles, little veiled references to maybe it was Bray. And then at the very end of October 8th's Extreme Rules, Bray pops back up and he returns to WWE as a face, accompanied by live action versions of his Firefly Funhouse characters and a new mask, revealing himself as, the White Rabbit. On the 30th anniversary of Raw, he interrupted a LA Knight segment, leading to a Royal Rumble match that I can't decide if I think this is kind of fun or it's the dumbest shit ever.
I hated it.
At Royal Rumble, Wyatt defeated LA Knight in a Mountain Dew pitch black match brought to you by Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew. It's so trippy with I like the execution of the match. I hate that it was like basically a commercial.
But WrestleMania was fine this last year. Where every match was that. I know what you mean with the neon lighting and the black light stuff, and it's cool for a second. I don't know if it translated that way. It probably looked really cool in person. I don't know if it transferred that well on screen, but this was one of the first pay-per-views that me and my ex watched together, and she had one question, which is basically, what the fuck is this? What is going on here? Why is it? Listen, I get, and I'm trying to explain. I'm like, no. He's like a zombie, and there's kind of, he's had this other thing where he was in the woods, and he used to be this. And she's like, okay, but why is he glow in the dark and Mountain Dew? And I'm like, yeah. Fair.
I think this match was them really pulling the Band-Aid off and saying, hey, we're doing everything sponsored now. No one burned their headquarters to the ground after this, so they were like, green light.
You see this check? Anybody mad about this check? See this check? I mean, none of you are going to see that. Nothing from this check is going to go to production people or health insurance or anything. This right here is an evaluation of how much money we make, And then we're going to tell the people who buy stocks, hey, we made this amount of money on this match and we're going to do that more, which will then raise the stock price, which is a fake thing. It's a fake thing, but what we'll have will be worth more. This potential fake thing will be worth more, which is what everybody wants at the end of the day.
Oh, Jake, but that money goes to the wrestlers a little bit, right?
No, this right here. This is us. We us. Your agreements. Aren't they doing like guaranteed contracts now?
Probably.
I think they're doing that solely because they're going to make all these big deals, so they don't have to give any of the wrestlers a cut of that money. They're going to lock them into a fee, and then wrestlers like, $1 million? I'm rich, but I got to pay for my hotels, rental cars, and everything else. So I'm like bringing home maybe $180K at the end of the day.
Are they giving them their cut of merchandise still? Because I know Nash got upset.
I'm sure they're
with that recently.
I'm sure their merch deals is fine, but the older guys they don't want to give money to because they figure if they just phase those guys out, if we stop selling NWO shirts and start selling the guys who we got better, more lucrative royalty agreements with, we'll push their shit.
Really, the worst part about this match is that it is Bray's last one. After this feud with LA Knight, he started up a storyline with Bobby Lashley, the wrestler, not the dildo, heading into WrestleMania 39. But Bray just quietly disappeared from TV before WrestleMania, and the storyline was just, tossed aside. A February 17th, 2023 episode of SmackDown where Wyatt and Uncle Howdy laid out Hit Row ended up being Wyatt's final appearance in WWE. Reports later indicated his sudden disappearance was due to a real-life illness. So Bray had been dealing with COVID that had exacerbated a pre-existing heart condition, which was reportedly life-threatening. He was even hospitalized mid-August and advised to wear this vest containing a self-activating defibrillator. Then August 24th, 2023, the 36-year-old Bray Wyatt, Windham Rotunda, took a nap around 2 p.m. at his Claremont, Florida home, and he never woke up. Cause of death was later determined to be a heart attack. So final thoughts on the great Bray Wyatt.
The biggest thing that I remember was how astounded I was that it was only, about 2 years after Brody's passing, and knowing that those two are really close to each other, being in the Wyatt family together, and it's frustrating that so many times it feels like when these wrestlers pass away in their prime, especially as the case with Bray and Brody, that they were so close to it being not the perfect ending, but there was going to be a button. There was going to be something wrapped up in what they needed to do. And with Brody, it was going to be debuting with AEW in Rochester. And that didn't happen. It could have been him debuting in front of a live crowd. That didn't happen because WWE kept him under contract for so long. With Bray, it was going through the whole journey of a fuck-ass creative journey in his main roster stint that could have had so many great moments, but it was marked with a loss to Goldberg or losing to Randy Orton when he didn't need to, not going over John Cena when he should have. And there were all these places where he could have had these bright moments, and he earned it with his great character work and the hard work that he put in, but he didn't get it. And it could have all been wrapped up, and there could have been a little bit of a bow at the end where he got that last little run with his brother. And what would that have paid off to? That one great match, would they have broken up? And it was just a little time. It was just a little off, and it's sad. It's sad that for one reason or another, whether it's not the drugs or anything in his case, but the heart problems that so many wrestlers go through after a life of dedicating their life to wrestling. It's not the healthiest thing in the world, and it catches up to him, and it's very sad.
I was just looking up when he passed, and I was like, and luckily I have a very detailed calendar, and thankfully, because I just now realized he died while I was in the air on my way to the first All In. Then it all kind of flooded back to me, oh, now I remember when he passed. I now remember everything that happened, and I remember basically I think it was kind of a situation landed in London, England, and finding out Bray Wyatt passed. It was it was wild. Obviously, my company's about ready to host one of the largest wrestling shows of all time, and it was almost a fight with people on who was going to kind of do some sort of honoring of him. Like there were multiple people that wanted to do something to honor him because they were friends with him, because they were close with him. I think it got boiled down to like just a simple like lantern, I think, with House of Black. But we definitely went out and got a lantern as kind of like a small little nod. I think there were a couple other little small little nods to him throughout the night that you really had to be paying attention to, which I'm sure like he appreciated the little Easter eggs to it. And those people did that, not because, we got to show respect to this big wrestler. It was like a lot of the people on this wrestling show in Wembley Stadium, they're wrestling in one of the biggest crowds they've ever wrestled in front of. That guy was their friend. And he was gone. In the midst of this historic event, multiple wrestlers took time out of the biggest event ever to give a little tip of the cap, a little nod, a little thank you, a little like, hey bud, I'm thinking about you. Yeah, I think that's very special that people thought of him in that way. It's sad because he just didn't quite get maybe the end of wrestling, that everybody hopes to get.
I love Bray, love his work, love everything he did, but sort of zoomed out, Bray's death is such a line in the sand because it was so noticeably shocking and painful. Not that, other people dying wasn't, but the reality is, as a wrestling fan of my age, Jake's age generation, you just kind of get numb to it for any other reason, some sort of evolutionary defense mechanism to not slowly go crazy while you watch your childhood heroes die one by one. But in 2023, like, this shit wasn't supposed to happen anymore. Like, people from Bray and Brody's generation, they don't die in their fucking 30s anymore. Like, the industry was healing. It was getting better for the workers after decades of being exploited, of being expected to die. And the fact that this one was so devastating and heartbreaking and in the saddest, darkest, most ironic way was actually like a show of progress, I think, for the wrestling industry. And again, like, I don't know if it's because we were the same age or I respected him so much as like a creative person or just a jarring randomness of it, but this one like fucked me up at the time, as much as a death of someone I don't know and wasn't friends with can. And it was only made worse by hearing over and over and over again like what an amazing human he was, like, to his fans, to his co-workers, to his family. Like, Bray was part of that change of the industry getting better. So for him to ultimately be a victim of it is just like unfair. It doesn't even, start to describe it. But he left behind just an amazing, inspiring body of work. Like, if you are a musician, a filmmaker, a comedian, a wrestler, a painter, you can probably gain something from checking out some Bray Wyatt or some Fiend. He took an art form where everything has been done because it's been around for 100 years and expended upon it in unique ways. It's so hard to do. What sucks the most is what he could have kept making and kept doing. I'll tie it to Bill Hicks, who is maybe my favorite comedian. Bill Hicks died at 32, and at 32, he was already Bill fucking Hicks. Like, that's crazy. So imagine what Bray or what a Bill Hicks could have been with another decade, or seeing them at 50 years old. 10 more WrestleManias under Bray, 5 more character changes. And that never knowing is really the hardest part as someone who's a fan, because, you only get a handful of people like that in your life. And, this one is gone. But that is Bray Wyatt's Tim Bell Pod. Do you guys have anything before we get out of here?
Nope, just make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. Thank you so much for the support. We're going to try and do our best for Season 5, but of course, let everybody know we've got something cool going on, and you guys are the absolute best, each and every one of you, and I'm doing it for you and to talk to my friends about pro wrestling a couple of times a week. So, thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please rate us 5 stars if you can, and tell a friend. Word of mouth is very important with podcasts and just trying to get everybody to check out what we have going on here. So thanks for listening.
Stay tuned for more episodes. Check out the Patreon. We're on all the social media stuff as both individuals and Timbo Pod. We'll see you next time.